I think the DJ, you are up first.
Okay, let's try this then. I'm the DJ, for those who don't know me, which probably a few people don't know me. Let me try to share my screen here. This one. You see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Good. So this is a small demo of something that I've been working on basically since last year in Lyon during the hackathon. We've had the video player for our videos for a while now. Originally, the video player was, I think we started adding HTML5 video playback in 2009 or something. That's when we started. Sort of broke down somewhere in 2010, then finally still deployed it in 2012. It's a thing that most people know. It's playback, has some subtitle functionality, menu here, all very basic. But basically this thing has not been maintained since 2012. Worse, the code base is written from in 2009 and it also reads like something that has been written in 2009. And the same goes for the extension that it is hosted in, Timed Media Handler, which has also not seen maintenance since 2000. Well, some maintenance, but not major changes since 2012. Making changes to this player that we have right here is very, very difficult, simply because it's not modern. I mean, there's too many things that you really ought to be fixing, and I sort of started looking for something else, which I started playing with last year. It's Video.js, and let me get this one. It's Video.js. It's a new, it's a player framework that's been around for a while as well, but it's supported by a few major organizations, as you can see here. It's fully open source. It's well maintained. So I decided that oh, and it has a lot of plugins, like a lot of plugins that do all kinds of stuff. So I decided that I'd look into that during last year's hackathon. And even though I got something working back then, it was a hack. But this is the real thing. Here I've actually changed a lot of I've made a lot of changes to the structure, and actually works quite well. We have the playback. There's some basic options that we use everywhere. Options to change the resolution of the movie. Full screen works. All things that didn't work like a year ago. I spent a year in my off time trying to get some of this stuff working. I've also added the pop-up player functionality now, although it's not really pretty yet. And I've done a lot of work together with Brian, mostly in the extension for the PHP as well. Cleaning up some transcoding stuff. Brian, of course, working with his OGV.js players, which I ported to Safari, for instance, as well for the Video.js player. So this works in Safari, Internet Explorer as well now. Audio player functionality. What else can we see? Is this? No, this is the wrong video. This one. I've added back support for starting and stopping, so that you can actually embed a video clip and say, okay, let's start at 15 seconds and play until 60 seconds and then stop again. So that works as well. Starts right here, stops now, 15 seconds later. It just allows you to highlight, for instance, a piece of video in the page without requiring the user to go skipping to the right point into the clip. So this is really far right now. There's still some work to be done on subtitle support, and there's some work to be done on bringing the structure of the HTML a little bit closer to the one of the old version, or rather the old version a little bit closer to the new one, so that we can make a smoother transition. But that's about it. On to the next person.
Okay, if you have questions, please add them to the Etherpad. It's at etherpad.wikimedia.org/p/credit. And credit
I will
is all uppercase.
I will be around to answer any questions later at the session. So.
Next up, I think, is Dimitri.
Hello, everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I'm still seeing the DJ screen.
Sometimes Hangouts takes a little bit for the screens to start showing.
No, I'm seeing yours.
Okay, I had to present to everyone, I forgot. All right, so for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Dimitri, and I work on the Wikipedia Android app. And this is a prototype that I put together during our offsite last week. It's an idea I've had kicking around for a while, which is you can go to search for a subject, search for something, and in line with each of the search results, you get a button, which when you tap it, it gives you a table of information. You could almost call it an info box, which is populated entirely from Wikidata. And so this is just a complete dump of all the properties and their corresponding values for this title. And it tries to be a little smart about what it displays. Like if one of the values is an image type, it goes out to Commons and fetches the thumbnail for the image. The order of these things isn't quite optimal yet. I actually had to hard code a list of the properties that should appear on top, and so push some of the less relevant ones down towards the bottom. I also hard coded some of the properties that should be wiki linked, meaning that the value of the property would, automatically become a link for the app to be able to navigate to. You can click on this and go to the page. And this isn't totally optimal yet in terms of network usage either, because I'm actually making two separate API requests to Wikidata. The first request comes back with the mapping of each property and the corresponding queue number, but the queue numbers are just numbers, so we have to make a second request to get the actual labels for each of the queue numbers, and only then we're able to display the names and properties together. So if anyone who's watching is more familiar with Wikidata and knows of a way to reduce this to a single API request, I'd love to hear about it and send me a note after the meeting. So yeah, this is all pretty minimal, but what this does is it takes care of a lot of the technical groundwork for integrating Wikidata properties into the app. It doesn't have to be in the form of this component, but even this component could be reused in a couple other places that might make sense, like in link previews. When the app pops up a link preview, I also added the button here, so you can tap a link and get the same kind of window with the properties for any of the links in the article. That's what I got. That's it.
Cool. Okay, Joaquin, I think you're up next.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
So this is a small proof of concept of a Wikipedia chatbot that I did in the offsite during hacking time that we had last week. It was done too in Israel, but I didn't attend, so this is my version of it. So the repo is on Joaquin/Wikibot, and I made a front end for IRC and Hangouts. The Hangouts one is broken right now, so I can't show it, but I can show the IRC one. So it's really simple. You can just search and get the summary of an article. So I'm going to search for Wikimedia, and you get the results, and then you can choose a page just to know more about it. You get the summary and the link, and that's basically what you can do. You can also find an article directly. And we'll get to the summary. And it does the same via Hangout. It's really cool. I've been using it on the phone when it's actually connected. Sometimes it fails. I'm still debugging it. So if you want to talk more about bots, I'm keen to talk about that. Find me. That's it.
Thanks, Joaquin. Baha? Baha, I think we're seeing your screen, but you are muted at the
How
moment.
about now?
I hear you.
Okay, can you see my screen too?
Yeah, it looks like there's an emulator in the foreground.
Yeah, I'm screencasting my phone, so I'm going to be demoing it on my phone. So oftentimes you may want to read an article when you're offline and you open up a bunch of tabs in your browser and switch between them. But sometimes some browsers just refresh the tab, and you can't see the content because you're offline. So this is my simple attempt to save articles for offline reading. So this is an article on my local environment. As you can see, a simple article, some images, like some links here, and content is toggled, so you can just click on one of them, see the content, you can toggle back. Now at the end of the article, you see this button, which you can click on, and wait a little bit. You see this print dialog. Change the size of the page, and you save for printing. It saves a PDF file to your downloads folder, in my case. And when I open it up, I see this article. Images are there. Oops. So when you scroll, you see sections are collapsed for reading. And the page size is very good for reading on this device. And if you go down to here, do you see the word Baghdad here? So what it did was it went to the text extracts API and pulled the description of the, I guess, first 10 sentences of the Baghdad article and inserted it in here so that when you're offline, you don't have to click on this link and find out what it is. You can just read it. Not all links have it because it was a hack and I didn't take care of all links, and some of the articles don't have descriptions. So in an ideal world, it would just pull all article links and insert this paragraph, which is a little not highlighted very well. It's like less highlighted. So yeah, this is my demo. This is very nice for offline reading. You can read like direct links of articles, and everything is working. Like images, sections are collapsed, and that's it.
Okay. Monty? I think, Monty, are you in the office?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello, hello. Awesome. So, can we switch? There we go. So, I work mostly on the iOS app, and one of the things we've been doing in the app is allowing users to see.
Just 1 minute, Monty. I think we need to have your screen shared. And yeah, the audio is a bit choppy, so if you can speak with intention, that'll help us.
Okay. How's that? Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that we do in the iOS app is we show a little card where users can see a random article, and then they're able to tap refresh and get new random articles. So I thought it would be a fun thing to experiment with at the offsite last week, making a content service style endpoint to make it easier to get a quote-unquote good random article. And what I mean by good is something that maybe doesn't look like this, or this, or this, because the existing random endpoint that you can use if you configure the request like this can occasionally return things that, say, don't have text extract, or for a disambiguation page, or it might not have an image or a Wikidata description. So I realize there are other approaches to doing the same thing. We random from a category of articles that are more curated, but just as an experiment, I went and created a content service style endpoint and made it actually request a few random items and then score each of those random items based on whether it had an image, whether it had a text extract, whether it had a Wikidata description, and did it in such a way that the length of the text extract is like a tiebreaker if one or more of those multiple random items that are requested had both an image and a Wikidata description. So instead of then seeing, again, results like this, well, that one's actually not too bad. If I now switch it over to using the scoring, rather than picking the worst item from the scored list, give me just a second. Now it should be picking the best item. So now when we refresh, we're chopping his head off, but you can see that the random results are just like a little more interesting. So technically what I've done is just requested 8 random items and then sorted based on those criteria. I scored them and then sorted them based on their score. And I'm just returning a single result from the best one, the highest score. And if you look at what is returned, this is how the payload looks. So it's nice and clean too. You have your title, your extract, your thumbnail, your description, all at the you don't have to drill down into anything to get to it. So it works pretty nicely, and it was just kind of a experiment to start playing with content service routes. So yeah, Dimitri and Bernd and Michael on the team helped me with this. So, and it was fun too because it was a very small file, takes care of all of that and sets up route and performs all that logic mentioned. So yeah, that's it. My hope would be to soon to maybe get deployed or other ways or other ways to structure URL. But yeah, again, this use case was just like single card type layout. So yeah, that's it. Whoever's next. Yes.
Okay, I think that's Eric.
Sure, 1 second here. Screen coming across? All right, so something I've been working on is just a Geo Boosted Search, which is where we pull articles higher up in the search results based on your location, based on distance from a location. I don't have any front-end demo yet. This is just a back-end demo, but what we have here on the left is our standard search results for Bridge. On the middle, we have the search results with Sydney boosted within 100 kilometers, and on the right with Washington, D.C. within 100 kilometers. Those aren't actually duplicates on the Washington, D.C. side. They're just different states which are close to Washington, D.C. You can see that we pull up local results much higher in the results. So like for Washington, D.C., you get the 14th Street bridges, you get the list of bridges from the National Registers of Local Places. And so it generally just provides, for generic queries, provides some results which are a little more relevant locally. We're going to try it again with museum. This time we have a standard result on the left, San Francisco in the middle, and Paris on the right. you get museums that are local to the area, like the Computer History Museum or the De Young Museum, or within Paris you get the Louvre, and you get the Musée d'Oran, and various other things like that. It also, wrong one. It also works, this is one of the more difficult queries for Mountain because mountains are big and they're far apart, and so this kind of demonstrates some of the problems. Here we have to change the distance. The other ones were using 100 kilometers. This one uses 500 kilometers. This one also says to boost the results a little bit, but with some tweaking, you still get, within Kathmandu, which is the middle one, you get the Chola, the Himalayas, you get various local relevant search results. Same with the right is Lausanne in Switzerland, and it pulls up mountains that are local to you there. Next steps on this are probably making some sort of syntax to trigger it from the search bar, something like near and then an article name, or near and a geocoordinate. But I think this could be very useful, specifically on mobile, where people are more likely to be querying things with a local context. But yeah, that's my presentation. Just a quick demo.
Neat. Stas?
Yeah, okay, can you see the screen and hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so continuing the topic of geographic searches, I wanted to demo the geospatial search for Wikidata query service. So what we finally can do is run a query that asks for airports within 100 kilometers of Berlin, and when we run it, we basically get this set of results, which shows us these airports within the 100 kilometers of Berlin. And of course, we can also see them as a table, so it gives us coordinates and names and so on. So this is a pretty cool feature that allows you basically to integrate any geographical searches, and you can do circular search. You can also do a box search. So you'll get a rectangular box basically. So this is schools in the box between Sacramento and San Jose. I'm not sure this query is super useful, but I'm hoping somebody will come up with queries that are interesting in this regard. So that's one thing that I wanted to show. Another cool thing that we are working on Wikidata query services. So this is query is pretty complex. Let's take a bit simpler query. So the cats query. So you see here we have explanation of this query that we are looking for an instance of a cat. So that basically explains the query. And another thing that you can do, you can actually change it. So if you want to look for an instance of a dog, so now you have search for a dog. So you can look at those, and you can also modify it. What if it's a duck? Yeah, no ducks in Wikidata, so we probably should work on that. But yeah, so this is pretty limited. So depending on the queries, it might be able to discern what it actually is showing, or if the query is too complex, then it might be. Yeah, so you see, it's pretty good interpretation. Position held, President of the United States, and showcase of this. That's pretty much what query is doing. If the query is more complex, like this Berliner reports, right now it's not able yet to discern it, but we are working on it. So that is a work in progress. Eventually, we will be able to understand and edit a lot of queries and make it easier for people to actually compose and modify existing queries. So that's it for me.
Thanks, Stas. And I think Julian is up next.
Okay. Do you have to share? Okay. Cool. How can I change the? Yeah. Please, I'm the first one in the Hangout. Where is the Hangout link? Can somebody send me the Hangout link?
Yeah, just a second, Julian.
Yeah, I have it on the Etherpad. Okay. It was mute. Oh, I'm not muted? No, I'm not muted. Right. Okay, sorry about that. It's never nice for the ears. So, all right, so today I want to make a presentation about maps. And so we've been working recently on making a prototype for Wikivoyage to show if Wikivoyage could migrate to the new cartographer extension and if we would be able to satisfy all their use cases with the extension that we are developing. So let me find you a little example of Wikivoyage to know what we are looking at. So they have a few different hacks on Wikivoyage and to show maps, and one of them is this one, and it's actually showing the tiles produced by Wikimedia, and but the current service is hosted on WMF Labs. So if you click on the full screen, you will be taken to tools.wmflabs.org, and you will have this UI. So, oops, sorry about that. So there are some features here, like the zoom level or like the zoom in, zoom out. There is also an interesting feature that is the nearby points. So if you're on Salzburg, you can see the points of interest within Salzburg. But if you click on that, you will see around Salzburg what's interesting to look at. There are also some other icons that are a bit less useful, and there is also a locate me icon. And that panel is interesting because it allows us to toggle base maps and overlays. So you can click on Mapnik or Wikimedia or MapQuest, and you can add a lot of data sources on the map. So this is something that we don't have right now with the current cartographer extension. I'm going to quickly go to mediawiki.org. So the cartographer extension right now is very simple. It comes with 3 buttons. One is open the map in full screen like this. And again, you just have a button to close it, and you have zoom in and zoom out. You have the attributions on the top right, and that's all comes with the most basic version of the extension. So recently we added some hooks you can listen to, and that allows you to add some customization on the map. So for Wikivoyage, I listened to those hooks, and I created a small repository, which is like this. So in source, you have a bunch of JavaScript files, and then you have some controls. So here you have a control for that nearby button, or you have a control for the layer switcher, and you have some basic classes. And then you can run some commands like npm run script build, and it will output a few files. So for now there are 4 files, but later it will be a bit cleaner, and it outputs mediawiki cartographer.js and mediawiki cartographer.css. So with those files, now just like common JS and common CSS, you can just create those, add those files to wiki, and it will load this JavaScript file and this CSS file when you get to a page that has the map in the article, and it will execute that code. So now, basically, it will turn a map like this into, if I go to Marksy, okay. So as you can see here, we have more customizations on the map. So we have a scale line on the top left corner that we added, and we added a layer switcher here. So like I don't have any labels for now, but you can see we have the base maps like you had on Wikivoyage, and we have the data, the overlays like we had also on Wikivoyage. And so I just did that simple icon quickly, but I also have the nearby points of interest. So if you click here, so you will, the first time you actually click on an overlay or base map that is an external source, you get this pop-up message, which for now only has generic labels. But basically, it will ask if it will tell you, warn you that you're showing an external data source, and it will make sure that this is providing content that doesn't come from WMF servers. So you might have some concerns about that. So it will ask you for the confirmation for the external data source. If you don't click on yes, then it doesn't do anything. And if you click on agree, in this case, it will zoom out a bit and show you the points of interest that are there. So this works for all the maps. If I go to here. Okay, so here we can see like we have those features on all our maps, and it's currently loading the data from. It's exactly the same data that it's loaded on that WMF labs for Wikivoyage currently. So we have here a proof of concept of how we could eventually migrate to the cartographer extension, and we are happy to move this forward and to share that with the community and see how best we can help them and enable them. Thank you.
Thanks, Julian. So I think that is everybody, but if anybody hasn't entered their thing into Etherpad and would like to speak now, feel free. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks everybody for doing your demos and for joining us for credit.
Great job, everyone.